In this video, we're going to be going through the process that I actually use to go from a demo that I've created previously, uploading it into Suno Studio, working with it with the new model, and then actually putting that export into my digital audio workstation, adding effects, making alterations as I need to, ready for release. So that's what we're going to cover in this video. Hey everyone, Barry here from Music Tech Info. I hope you're doing well today. So another video on Suno Studio. I don't do them often, but when I do try and cover as much as possible. Before we delve into the process, I do just want to go through a few little things that maybe I haven't featured in previous videos. So when you're actually in Suno Studio, there is this maximize button here. Now, I initially didn't realize this was a maximize button until I clicked on it, and then I realized that you're able to have more styles around what you want to do, more options as well in terms of audio influence, style influence and weirdness, and you can also have negative prompting as well. So I thought it's worth showing that button because I missed it originally, and I don't think it's the most user-friendly thing to do, because typically if I'm creating a new thing, what I'll do is I'll add the region, go into this section here and do it from there, whereas you can also do it from that maximize button as well. Now let's talk about the process. So a lot of people are just making generations with Suno and then releasing it. Now for me, I've been a music producer for a long time now, well over 20 odd years, maybe 25 years. So for me, I did a rant video recently where I basically explained that I was concerned because the generations were far better outperforming my own productions, which was a big concern of mine, particularly around Suno version 5. And then I've come to the realization that actually if I use it as a tool, which is what it's designed to do, and actually use it to enhance my own demos, my own originality that I've worked so hard to produce over the years, and using that to enhance my work, and then being able to take that into my own digital audio workstation to then manipulate it however I want, chop and change it, whatever, then that's the best of both worlds for me, and I'm getting amazing results. So for example, I've made 3 music tracks in the last 3 days. This is just one as an example. Now in this example, I don't do a whole of a lot in my own DAW compared with what I have done with the other 2 tracks, but I wanted to feature this particular one because I felt it's a good example, right? So this is a demo track that I produced on the OP1 Teenage Engineering back in the day. So this was a while ago. This is about 7-8 years ago that I actually did this. I did it in my conservatory. I was so bored one night, and if you know the Blade film, the track that goes do 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 do, well, I've always loved that track, so I wanted to do my own version. So I used the OP1 to actually produce it. So just to explain what that is, this is the OP1 for those people that don't know, and it's based on sampling. You can add effects. There's lots of things you can do with it, but I literally just produced that track and sold it because for me, the workflow just wasn't working for me. I found it a fun tool, but you can see it's quite expensive. So from my point of view, yeah, I just used it to produce one track. But it was well worth it because it was worth it for that one track. So we're going to have a listen to the track now. Now this has never been released. So this is What You Doing to Me, okay? Now I want you to pay attention to the quality of the track and the way that it works. So let's have a listen. Walking effects, echo, reverb. Very much in the background of like a club. Very much in the background. Drum beat. Now it's like going into the club room. Vocals coming in. What you doing to me? 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 Long silence. I'm going to skip a little bit. so many times in my place. You call me a disgrace. You call me out so many times in my place. You hit me in my face. And then towards the end, it just goes a bit more crazy with effects. You call me a disgrace. Oh, that's it. Okay. So that is my demo, and I produced it completely on the OP1. And I was really proud of it, because I was able to put my own stamp on that track. So it's kind of like a reinterpretation, I guess. So then what I did is I decided to upload that into Suno Studio. So I'll go to Library. Okay, so I've just found it in Library. So what you would do if you're doing this for yourself, you go on to Upload Audio, you go to Upload, you select the file. Let me just select one as an example. You then can click on Save. It needs to be between 3 seconds and 8 minutes long. So you've got a big range, and you can cut it as well if you want to, like so. And then you click Save, and it'll upload that clip for you. You then explain that you want it to be a cover, so you're covering one of your tracks. You then click Continue, and then you're able to prompt it from there in terms of what you want to do. Now just bear in mind something that's really important. It really helps if you go into advanced options and you change that audio influence up to 100%. So it tries to read the track and create its own generation based on 100% of the track. Now you'll notice that it does go red past 85%. So you may want to leave it on 85% because I understand that you're being more restrictive if you're in that red zone. It's the same with style influence as well, but I normally have style influence about, I normally have that on 100%. I normally have this on about 75. And then weirdness, I normally have about 25%. And then what you can do, it's very good at actually reading the track. So it can put in there you go, it can put in there the description. Now it can go over the character count of just 1,000, so you might need to actually delete some sentences just so that you get to within that limit. There you go, that's exactly 1,000. And you can give it lyrics, you can change the style, and so that's what I did. Okay, so what it then does, it'll have it here and it'll produce the generations. So we've got the upload here. So that's the track that you've just heard. Then you've got version 5 of the first generation, which I absolutely loved. So what I did is I actually removed all of the automated style in the style box, and I just put EDM synth because that's what I really wanted. I wanted it to be quite hardcore, techno influenced synthed track, and that's exactly what I had here. Don't forget it does 2 different generations for you, but the other one I wasn't that keen on. Then what I did is I went, okay, the 3 dots here, because I want to now put it in open in Studio. Okay, so when you do that, it'll then put it in Studio for you, and then you can actually work with the track. So this is a track in Synth Studio. Now what you do initially, you start off just with this one sample. So you go to the right hand side. I'm just going to move myself just for a second. And what you can do is you can extract the stems. Now it cost about 50 credits to do that. Well worth it, because then you go into Insert All, and all of this is all of the separated stems. So you'll see we've got effects, we've got synth, we've got new track, which I actually generated myself. I'll show you that in a second. We've got percussion, just a tiny bit of percussion, and maybe some noise in there as well. And then we've got bass, we've got drums, and then you can add tracks as you want to and just start to build it up. You can upload from here as well if you want to, 137 beats per minute. And so yeah, I was so pleased with this. So listen, let's have a quick listen to the track now. Now I pretty much kept everything as it was in terms of the mixing because I wanted to do that in my own DAW. I wasn't really that interested in panning because it did such a good job of doing that anyway. But there were some instances that I did need to edit. So if I zoom in, you can actually see I've had to make some changes here to the synth. So let's have a listen to just the synth on its own. Yeah, so I was chopping and slicing a few times there, and then I regenerated this bit here. So if I unmute synth and I put this bit in here, I was so pleased with the track. As I say, I haven't had to make many edits. Okay, yeah, I just repeated that first sample here. This is why I chopped it up, spliced it up, so that I could actually paste it in the arrangement during the quiet bits. Because if we have a listen to this section with this actually on mute, and you can easily just right click and copy, you can duplicate, and then you just drag to where you actually want to go. So with that now turned on, you can hear the difference here. Because I really wanted that going throughout the track. So you can see I repeated it quite a lot through here, particularly towards the end. And then at the very end, I decided to just generate this. I wasn't very happy with the ending, so I thought I'd just generate a sample. So again, you just select a region, you go to effects if that's what you want to do, and you put in a style, or you can maximize that window as well. So it just literally produced a very simple effect at the end, which was this. That was it, right? But that combined with the track is this. There you go. So that's pretty cool. So then what you can do, now I made the mistake of actually going to export and then going full song and then generating the stems off that in the library section. You don't need to do that. You just go to multi-track and it'll export all of those tracks for you. Otherwise it's got to regenerate all of the extractions again. So once it's done that, what it'll then do is it'll save it. You can see it says exporting just up here, and then you can have that as one zip file, which is just so cool. I just love Suno Studio. I'm finding it so interesting. Now you'll notice that my vocals aren't on this particular mix. It didn't create any vocals for me because I just removed it. I thought I'm going to sing it in my DAW. I could sing it on here, but for me, I've been working in my DAW, which is Cubasis, for at least 10 years now, and I'm used to doing my vocals on it. And so I'll show you that in a second. So yeah, you can see it takes a bit of time to export. What I love is the fact you've got undo and redo here as well. I know that sounds really simple, but it can really help if you mess anything up, which is brilliant. I mean, I could have gone into here and generated a lot more, but I felt the track was so full as it was. It really didn't need anything else. Such a good job, version 5. Okay, so now what you can see, you've got the zip file. What you doing to me, multi-track. So if I enlarge that, you can see we've got as samples, we've got the bass, the drums, the FX, we've got some new tracks here as well, percussion and synth, and you can see the file size is all the same and it's in WAV format. If you wanted the MIDI, okay, you can export to full song. In fact, that's probably why I did it the first time, so I was doing the right thing. When you export it to one track, you can then go to the ellipse button and then you can go get stems MIDI, and then that will cost 50 credits to extract. But then you've got that, and you've got the MIDI files as well. So I can give you a quick example of that just to show you. Yeah, I don't want to waste more credits, so I'll just show you what I did previously. So here you can see you've got the MIDI files now for programming if you want to do that, as well as the WAV files. So that's just so cool. So next, what I'm going to show you on just going forward now to the next process. So what we've done, we've uploaded our demo, okay, into Suno version 5. We've generated it from version 5 in the library. We've then edited it in Suno Studio, and we've just exported it into WAV and MIDI files. So just remember that if you do want the MIDI files, then that's the option that you need to currently do. And what it does, if I can just quickly show you, if back in the library again, I'll show you again, what you do is you go to here, get stems and MIDI, and then what it says here, it says get up to 12 separated instruments, vocal and MIDI tracks, and it will do it all for you. So that's cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to my digital audio workstation, which is Cubasis on my iPad. Now, a lot of people will say, why on earth are you going onto the iPad now? Why don't you just do it on your MacBook or PC or whatever? The reason for that is because I've been using Cubasis now for over 10 years, and it's been my #1 digital audio workstation for actually making music. As I say, the OP1 was just kind of like an experiment to see how I got on with the workflow, but it just didn't get on with me that well, apart from just producing that demo track, which I'm so proud of. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into Open Recent, but I'm actually going to show you how I did this, okay? Now, some people may say, why are you using Cubasis and not Cubase? For me, Cubasis is limited in its functionality, but that means that my output is actually better. I work with people, there's a theory out there which is basically the more straightforward something is, the more productive you can be in it. And I've made hundreds of music tracks with Cubasis because it's just, there's less options to click. It's got everything I actually need, and I just love it. So the first thing that I actually did, and even if you're using a different DAW, which I almost guarantee you are, it's still worth watching this, okay? Because you understand the process of what I'm doing. So I open up a brand new project. I go to import down the bottom, and then I go to files, and I can literally just go to desktop, and I can find those stems, what you're doing to me. So these are all of them here, which I'd select and just go to open. They then appear in my library, and I can just drag them onto the appropriate tracks, which is just here. So I got all of the MIDI ones. You can see I'm not using the MIDI at the moment. I'm just using what Suno has actually generated, but I've got them available to me if I need them. And have had instances on my other tracks that I've done where I've needed to use the MIDI because I've just preferred the sound that I've been using, which isn't as common because Suno does such a great job with version 5, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just explain what I've done here. So we've got the audio samples here from track 7 through to track 12. So we're going to have a quick listen now. Right, now what you can probably tell is that sounds a lot better now, sounds a lot bassier. Now the reason for that is because having all of these extracted stems out, I can then select the bass and I can go to Insert Effects. And you can see I've got an effect called Waves Q10. So that has on it the ability to equalize what you want for the bass. Now you do have presets. You got power bass here, which I've already selected on the left, and then that's automatically created the curve, and then I've just gone in and I've amended it to where I want it to go, and it changes the curve, as you can see here, right? So if I just turn it on and off, you'll see the difference. Similar with the drums. So if I go to drums now, I've actually got a compressor on the drums as well as another effect. And in here, I've got on the floor effect on here. So let's have a quick listen to that one. These are them off, on. So it just enhances the drums. So the compressor I've got on as 1.3, and as I say, I've got that effect on the drums. So we've got the bass and we've got the drums. Cool. Next, we've got effects on here where I've put nothing on them. You can see the insert effects is actually blank. I've got the percussion exactly the same, and the synth, I probably would have done that, but I was really happy with the quality of the synths, so that's why I didn't bother with that one. Now what I typically do on the very hand right hand side, which is the full output stereo track, is I have that on -5.93. Really it should be -6, but I get as close as I possibly can with my finger because it is an iPad after all. And now I haven't done much mixing here in terms of that. It may be a bit too much. It probably does need to come down a little bit, but that's something that I can always do on a future date if I want to. Right, let's just have a listen to this vocal track because I don't actually think this is vocals, right? So I'm just gonna just solo this, just have a listen. Yeah, it's another synthesizer. Cool. So we're happy with the mix now. And then we've actually got my own vocals. So what I did here is I literally arm the track with this red button here, which is I'm just pressing on and off. Okay. And then you're able to literally play along with the track a bit like that. I'll do a demonstration so you get an idea. What you doing to me? What you doing to me? What you doing to me? It would really help if I didn't have mute on. Let's try that again. What you doing to me? What you doing to me? What you doing to me on YouTube? All right, now let's have a listen to that. What you doing to me? What you mean to me? What you doing to me on YouTube? What you doing to me? What you doing to me? What you doing to me on YouTube? What you doing to me? What you doing to me? What you doing to me on YouTube? So that's me recording my vocals. So that is what I did for the whole track. Well, not the whole track, just the parts that I need to sing. So we've got quite a lot of effects on my vocals because we need them. So we've got compressor on here because that's just generally a bit quiet. We've got some reverb going on, quite heavy reverb because it is an EDM track. We've got some delay on here. Now, I normally have delay on my vocals like 3 to 5%, but because, again, it's a really heavy techno track, I wanted to really come up similar to the OP1 effects because that's what the OP1 is great at, the actual effects that it has for delay. So that's why I decided to use a triplet delay with 64th of a beat, I should say, with feedback of 50% on 50% mix. So let me turn that off and you can really tell the difference now, right? So if I solo this, I'm just going to turn all of these effects off and then literally apply one by one and you'll see what I mean. What you doing? Okay. Doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me on YouTube? What you doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me on YouTube? What you doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me on YouTube? What you doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me on YouTube? What you doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me on YouTube? What you doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me on YouTube? So there you go. Wow, sounds like a very, very loud hall there. So now what I can do, I'm just going to mute that bit. So you can hear my vocals now. So I've literally just went into this DAW, recorded the vocals, and we've got some added tracks here for the other vocals. So let's have a listen to this one here. To me, what you doing to me? 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 Okay, now I'll do the next part. You call me out so many times in my face. You call me out this face. You call me out so many times in my face. You hit me in my face. So the way that I did that face section is I had a pan and tremolo effect on here. So you can see if I play this bit now. Now to do that in Suno Studio would be really challenging, which is why I've done it here. And we've got a different effect, then we've got a bit of a repeat here. What you doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me. What you doing to me, what you doing to me, what you doing to me. You call me out so many times in my place. You call me out of this place. You call me out so many times in my place. You hit me in my face. You call me out so many times in my face. You call me out of this place. You call me out so many times in my face. You hit me in my face. And what you can see what I've done here, I've actually faded it out, similar to Suno Studio. So that just really helps. I had to mess around with the timing, so I had to drag it quite a bit to get the timing spot on for that. But yeah, that's a rotary speaker effect on track 14, or sorry, 15. And then if you remember that effect that we had on the very end that I generated in Suno Studio, I've got a fade out going quieter. So this is now the ending. There we go. Really happy with that, to be honest. I'm so proud of that track. And isn't it incredible that Suno Studio has actually helped me to take that from a demo to a really good sounding track. Well, IMO, in my opinion, anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just play out this full track now so that you can hear it in its entirety. And yeah, thanks for watching. What you doing to There we go. So what I could have done, okay, another thing that you can do in your DAW is literally, if I solo this, because I was talking about MIDI, that's not, sorry, that's not soloing the track. Here we go. So MIDI is exporting all of this data of the notes and velocity and other effects actually for your own digital workstation. And then what you can do is you can change the instrument. So that's what MIDI allows you to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.